A lone fighter warns that if his opponent wants to play rough, he won't hold back either. A student spins around, coat flaring, vowing to match his approaching enemies blow for blow. Memories flash of a monstrous flame dragon as onlookers whisper in fear, recognizing him as the white demon who restored his fallen family's honor. The title page introduces a kind-hearted boy's rise through unmatched talent alongside his companions, opening a Magic Academy adventure. A peaceful forest spreads beneath a wide, cloudy sky, with tiny figures wandering among distant mountains. Two friends peek through the leaves, spotting something exciting ahead. A magnificent antlered deer appears, the prized great horned deer. A girl weighs lightning versus a wind spell for a clean kill, teasing her companion about hunting alone now that he's turned 15. Focused, the boy shapes his magic to be small and fast. The wind arrow fires in a blur, striking true as someone nearby flinches in surprise. The struck deer collapses in the underbrush as the boy and his father watch from above. The father examines the clean wound, praising the boy for such power and a perfect one-shot kill on his first real hunt. Bashful but proud, the boy admits he practiced alone, while his father marvels and playfully ruffles his hair. With the sun setting, they decide to keep some meat for themselves and sell the rest in town the next day. Back home, they're greeted warmly by the mother, who notes dinner is nearly ready. As she rests briefly, the boy eagerly offers to help bring the food to the table. His little brother bursts in with exciting energy, welcoming him home. Over dinner, the siblings chatter about the day while their mother gently reminds them not to run. The family gathers around the table, giving thanks together before the meal.
Savoring the soup, the boy is delighted to learn his mother made his favorite dish in honor of his birthday, revealed here as Leon Heartelia. Delighted, the mother, Rene, and father, Dominic, are named as they celebrate Leon's first successful deer hunt, already planning tomorrow's meal. Not to be outdone, little brother Marcus excitedly demands attention, boasting about casting the soap bubble spell successfully for the first time. Leon lights up at the news, amazed that Marcus can use magic too. The parents beam with pride, though Rene gently mourns about overusing mana to avoid magic sickness, while Dominic declares the whole family clearly has magical talent. Later, with Marcus worn out and asleep from excitement, the parents turn serious, noting that Leon turns 15 today and asking if he's decided what he wants to do next. Leon hesitates before answering that he has. He states that he intends to enroll in the Magic Academy. His mother asks quietly if it's something he truly must do, and he replies firmly that yes, he must. His father explains that most students at the academy are nobles, and even those who claim equality often still discriminate. He warns that families like theirs, former nobles, face even harsher treatment than commoners, and that Leon's distinctive silver hair and blue eyes will only make him stand out more. Dominic embraces Leon, asking if there's a reason he can't walk away, insisting it's not that they doubt his dream, they're just worried. The scene shifts 5 years into the past. A carriage rattles by as a boy reacts to a passing noble. A pompous noble, Lord Nebard, sneers at Dominic, mocking that he's no longer a proper Heartelia. Nebard needles young Leon about his sullen expression and asks his age. Leon answers he'll turn 10 this year.
Nebard insults his silver hair and blue eyes as demonic, calling him a demon child. Dominic snaps at the noble's arrogant sneering. A scuffle breaks out as Dominic shields the children, Marcus crying out for his father. Nebard sneers further about Leon's rotten luck being taken in by the traitor Heartelia family, before curtly ending the exchange and ordering his carriage brought around. Frustrated at having no comeback that day, Leon reflects that the word traitor stuck with him most. Searching the house's books, he found his grandfather's journal, hoping to learn what the Heartelias had done to the Nebards. It revealed how the family fell, swindled by nobles, unable to pay taxes, and stripped of their title as scapegoats, with the cunning Nebard behind it all but leaving no evidence. Leon vows to repay the Heartelia family he loves, who took in an abandoned child and raised him as their own. He resolves to graduate top of his class, become a great mage, and earn a noble title to restore the Heartelia name, which is why he must enter the Magic Academy. Back in the present, Dominic rests a hand on Leon's shoulder. Struck by his serious expression, Dominic gives his blessing, apologizing for having worried him. Rene agrees, praising Leon's kindness and intelligence, and Leon thanks them both happily, vowing to do his best. The mood lightens as Dominic straightens up, declaring the serious talk over. Since Leon's now of age, Dominic cheerfully proposes they have a drink, with Rene teasing that he'd just been waiting for the excuse. Glasses rise in a family toast.
Tipsy, Dominic admits he's grown to like alcohol, while Renee teases him as he slumps over the table. A weepy drunk, Dominic clings to Leon, begging him not to leave. Embarrassed, Leon calls his father dramatic, insisting it's not goodbye forever. Renee assures him he can always come home, and tears slip out from Leon too. On departure morning, the family cheerfully sees him off. Marcus throws himself at his brother in tears. He casts a soap bubble spell as a farewell gift. Amid the bubbles, Marcus tearfully cheers him on. Riding toward the capital, Leon considers practicing magic along the way, though fire or ice would be too risky inside the carriage. Leon practices water magic, shaping fish-like ripples with a smile. He silently vows to his beloved parents and Marcus. He declares he will become a great mage and repay them by restoring the Heartelia family. Night falls over distant mountains. A cat's meow breaks the darkness, its shadow stretching. Leon stirs, recognizing the strange, familiar voice calling him young master. He apologizes for dozing off, and the driver notes they've arrived at the royal capital. The driver hands him a map to the academy's entrance ceremony, wishing him well. Amazed, Leon marvels at the lively crowds and grand buildings of the capital, so different from his humble hometown. A vendor offers Leon a free skewer sample, guessing correctly he's a new academy student. Delighted, Leon accepts and buys one for himself. He remarks on how many street stalls are out today while snacking. Spotting a magic tool shop, he decides to visit later. Following the map, he figures he should reach the venue soon. But despite the clear directions, he realizes he's oddly not arriving, seeming to pass the same shop again. Sensing something's wrong, he pauses in confusion. He notices other lost people nearby, wondering if they're new students too, while others nearby suspect something strange is happening. Another student voices the same confusion, walking straight yet ending up back in the same spot. Recalling the map's warning that punctuality is mandatory, Leon grows alarmed. Leon realizes this odd loop might actually be a hidden test for the entrance exam. He decides to first sort out what's really going on. He suspects magic is trapping him, though it seems odd it would affect ordinary townspeople too. Then he notices the people around him have simply vanished. Recognizing a dispel spell as the trick behind it all, he casts one himself. The illusion breaks, revealing the academy's grand gate ahead. Thrilled, Leon realizes he's made it through. Relieved, he's glad he arrived in time. He's congratulated on passing the entrance exam by name. A bald, energetic man introduces himself as Grant, his homeroom teacher, noting another boy passed at nearly the same moment as Leon. Excited students celebrate passing, with one recognizing Leon as the boy from earlier. They introduce themselves as Leon and Mark, shaking hands and looking forward to studying together. A senior arrives to guide them, revealing he's been assigned to show them around. Curious, Mark quietly asks Leon what the trick behind the exam was, only to be shushed before an upperclassman overhears. Leon explained it combined illusion and teleportation magic disguised as the town, looping the scenery unless the illusion was dispelled before reaching the gate. Impressed, the senior praises his insight, though Leon modestly claims he just got lucky guessing he was under a spell. The senior notes few students ever figure that out, earning Leon more praise. Leon feels his academy life is off to a great start. Their guide leads them onward through the halls. He explains that class placement depends on entrance exam results, with top scorers landing in Eins, the highest of the 3 divided classes, and both Leon and Mark made it in. The teacher notes that class placement isn't everything, since sudden challenges are judged too, then leads the students to their classroom. In a large lecture hall lined with bookshelves, only a few students are scattered among the rows. A group debates where to sit once they learn seating is open, agreeing on somewhere in the middle. Leon and Mark spot each other and decide to sit together. 2 noble students block them, insisting commoners keep their distance despite open seating. A 3rd student tells his companion to stop, but the noble insists it's between him and Leon. Leon argues nobles and commoners are equals here, and that status doesn't excuse tyranny, prompting the newcomer to say it concerns him too. He's the 2nd prince. Stunned, the others realize who he is, as the prince apologizes for his friend, introduces himself as Heathcliff Dewin, asks to be called Heath, and hopes they'll get along. The group later remarks he seemed surprisingly down to earth for royalty. Privately, one of them senses Heath barely registered their social status at all, smiling outwardly while quietly shielding his friend from the fallout. One of them privately worries this new figure feels different from Nebard or Darren, maybe even worse, and hopes not to end up on his radar. The bald teacher cheerfully congratulates the crowd, announcing that everyone passed the entrance exam before sunset. Papers rustle and rise off the desks on their own. Sheets float above the students' heads in the lecture hall as the word levitation appears, demonstrating the spell. Watching a paper glide through the air, one student marvels that magic really is part of daily life here. The teachers stress the importance of listening carefully as new student orientation begins using the materials handed out. The bald teacher raises a finger and announces one extremely important rule. Private duels on academy grounds are strictly forbidden. Mark is teased for zoning out halfway through, and the group realizes they've been placed in the same dorm, told to head there and follow the posted instructions. Fired up, they cheer and rush off toward the dorms together.
Arriving at the building, they're stunned to find a decrepit, cobweb-covered mansion that looks like a haunted house, unsettled that it's probably just as eerie inside. Pushing inside, they're stunned to find a lavish, chandelier-lit entrance hall completely at odds with the crumbling exterior. A senior grins mischievously, revealing it was all illusion magic on a grand scale, leaving the newcomers bewildered about what's really going on. Several upperclassmen cheerfully welcome the new students. They explain the shabby exterior was a deliberate prank, a lesson not to judge things by appearances. With one bragging the trick was his idea. One introduces himself as Quentin, prefect of the South Dorm, apologizing for the belated introduction and welcoming them both. He mentions today's welcome party for new students means the kitchen is going all out, and tells them to come down to the dining hall once they've finished unpacking upstairs. Eager for the food, they rush to unpack, marveling at how much there is to sort through before heading down. Downstairs, they're dazzled by an extravagant spread of food laid out for the party. Toasting together, one jokes that meat is a must for a man, while another reminds him to balance it with vegetables. Making conversation, Mark asks if he recognizes anyone else among the new students, and he replies that he doesn't. Back home, he was the only one his age with magical aptitude. Someone sneers, mocking the lowly Heartelia, catching Leon off guard as others ask if he's enrolled too. The mocker is revealed as Ayrton Nebert, smugly confirming he's enrolled as well while sipping a drink. Onlookers gasp as a drunk, stumbling Ayrton is corrected by a companion to address him as Lord Ayrton. Furious, Ayrton accuses Leon of disgracing a noble. Enraged, he claims commoners shouldn't get too full of themselves and hurls a fireball at Leon without warning. As it rushes forward, someone shouts for everyone to stand back and moves to shield them. The fireball fizzles out before impact, leaving bystanders shocked, and it's revealed a dispel spell intercepted it. A dorm prefect scolds Nabard by name, warning that discrimination and fights are forbidden on campus, letting it slide this once. Leon quietly realized it was Quentin, the prefect, who cast the dispel that saved him. Back with friends, Leon is teased for knowing strange people, and the group heads to their room as the day's activities wrap up, with classes starting tomorrow. A teacher praises Leon's defensive spell as flawless, noting it's usually taught in year 2, and asks if he self-taught it. Called on again, Leon confirms he taught himself, drawing attention. A friend predicts he'll do well, mentioning tomorrow's fireball practice. The teacher says goodnight, looking forward to seeing more. Walking off, Leon barely notices being teased for getting popular, lost in thought. Fired up, he credits a certain book for teaching him magic so far, resolving a strong start is crucial, and the group cheers to give it their all tomorrow. Later, in their dorm room, the roommates settle in for the night. One sharpens a sword while the other reads. They share a warm smile. Mark admits he's kept his sword in good shape, revealing he's practiced swordsmanship since childhood, since his father was a guardsman. Odd, he jokes, for someone enrolling in a magic academy. Mark says stamina matters too, like in a real fight, but admits he gets shy when praised. Leon shows a book, The Difference Between Magic and Marks, bought out of curiosity, and offers to lend it, but Mark says books aren't his thing. Mark jokes he's more the physical type. Agreeing it's late before tomorrow's class, they turn off the light and say goodnight. The next day, the teacher excitedly announces Ein's class will finally begin magic practice, target practice at 25 meters. The target, he reveals, is a fireball. He explains they'll judge power and speed, not just accuracy. A good hit, he adds, extends the spell's effective range to 25 meters. Students are told to step into the circle when called and fire on signal. Mark is called first, nervous but ready. Mark launches his fireball with a shout, scorching the target. The teacher praises him for good speed, though Mark admits he missed slightly. Watching closely, others note the target isn't even scorched. A standard fireball apparently isn't enough to count as effective. Heathcliff, the second prince, is called up next, and confirms he's ready. Others wonder aloud if he's just as skilled as magic as expected, watching him prepare. He forms a cross-shaped gesture, channeling his spell. His fireball erupts with far greater force, slamming into the target. Classmates react with awe and mixed nerves at the display. They praise him as amazing, living up to expectations as the second prince. Even so, his flames only scorched the surface a little, and Leon is called up right after, wished good luck by Mark not to stress too much. Leon's expression shifts from calm focus to closed-eyed concentration. He raises a pointing hand. Channeling magic that swirls around his fingers, he catches Ayrton's attention nearby.
Onlookers sense something intense building, calling it amazing. He releases a small, quiet burst of magic. Ayrton mocks it as a lame dud, assuming Leon failed, while others quietly wonder if he messed up too. But the tiny fireball turns out faster and more powerful than anyone else's, striking dead center on the target. Ayrton fumes internally that a mere commoner is surpassing him. The teacher calls out Leon's name in surprise as Ayrton curses under his breath. Friends congratulate Leon on first place, while an upperclassman shrugs off the surprise since they're just first years. Leon explained he compressed his fireball for more heat and less air resistance, turning temperature and speed into power to pierce the target. Only half understanding, they ask where he learned it, and he hesitates, unsure they will believe him. He describes a recurring childhood dream, wandering a mansion with a black kitten and a lantern. Inside, he studies magic books nightly until his mana runs out, and still doesn't know where the place is, though the kitten feels oddly familiar. Mark reacts in disbelief, calling it seriously cool that he learned it all through a dream. Relieved, Leon admits he's never told anyone before. Mark then brings up his curiosity about Leon's sword. Before he can answer, Darren Roas confronts him, mocking his silver hair and demanding he come along to learn his place. Leon coolly reminds him dueling is forbidden, and Darren sneers, asking if he's scared. Leon tells Mark to head back without him, saying he'll deal with this quickly. Mark reacts with shock, sensing something is off. Leon and Darren find themselves somewhere unexpected, both wondering where they are. They arrive at a place marked the Arena. It's revealed the arena is used even during class, existing for duels between mages. Darren grins, explaining an official duel wouldn't count as a private fight. Leon narrows his eyes at the mention of needing a witness as someone approaches. Heathcliff appears, apologizing to Leon and offering to serve as witness. Leon quietly realizes Heathcliff was behind the whole setup from the start. Heathcliff explains the rules. Both duelists fire magic from the white line, and whoever forces the other to say "I give up" wins. Heathcliff calmly states that the duel begins the instant he says begin, and dark magic bursts violently through the air at that exact moment. Startled cries of a sneak attack ring out as the assailant is sent flying by a sudden, overwhelming strike. Shadowy figures sneer at the pathetic display, while Heathcliff teases Leon, asking if he really didn't hear him say begin. Walking away, Leon admits he'd expected some prejudice, knowing class discrimination existed even within the Magic Academy. Still, he stunned the nobles and royals proved even more arrogant than expected, unsettled by their delight in cheap sneak attacks. Clenching his fists, he silently scolds himself for once thinking such people deserved consideration. Elsewhere, a burst of magic sends someone crashing down as a furious voice curses the one responsible. Grimacing, one combatant grudgingly admits the other has guts, caught off guard by the sheer nerve of it. Monstrous magic towers before them, leaving onlookers stunned that such power could exist. Elsewhere, a voice recalls entering the school with top exam scores, admitting that his second prince, Pride, once made him certain he'd top the spellcasting trials too. He reflects on a truth too bitter for royalty to accept, that a mere commoner like Heartelia had surpassed him. Amid towering flames, he's shaken, unable to believe such a gap in power could exist between them. Onlookers scream that the figure before them is a demon as the massive flames rage on. Trembling, someone whispers the name White Devil, Fa Leil, the legendary figure now recognized in him. A violent shockwave rips through the air as the aftermath of the blast settles. Heathcliff clarifies aloud that this was an official duel under his name as witness, not a private fight.
Leon notes that no one was actually hurt, since the flame dragon was just an oversized intimidation spell, though it clearly proved his strength to Darren and Heathcliff. Fuming, Darren insists he'll take responsibility for his own mess, admitting inwardly that losing to a commoner still leaves him royalty, however humiliating. The bald teacher scolds Heathcliff, reminding him first years haven't even been granted permission to duel, though he concedes dueling is sacred to mages. Others murmur that punishing a royal so soon after enrollment would be excessive, as Heathcliff steps forward insisting he alone should be punished, since he was the duel's witness. Heathcliff insists he only wanted someone to see the magic he'd learned, awkwardly claiming it wasn't really a duel to begin with. The teacher shrugs it off, telling the three to just be more careful next time, since that's apparently all it was. Pressed on whether he's lying, Leon quietly admits there's no lie in his words, staying respectfully silent under the teacher's glare. The teacher then tells them all to head back, since afternoon classes are starting soon. Darren mutters that he didn't act to protect Leon, insisting it wasn't even a real fight, while Heathcliff questions what he means by that. Darren warns Leon he's free to look down on commoners, but that if he interferes again, he'll regret it, adding that he's at the academy for a reason of his own. Fuming, Darren vows that next time he won't hold back. Heathcliff urges everyone to just let it go, wary of getting further tangled with Darren, as the group part ways for the day. Days later, classmates cheer as exam results are posted, revealing Leon placed first, with Louise Nematoria second and Heathcliff third. Startled by the sudden excitement, a flustered exchange of apologies breaks out among the students nearby. Mark tells Leon to stop worrying, admitting the duel's news left them isolated, just as someone rushes by demanding why they're confronting the White Devil's Folial kid. Mark shrugs it off as easier now that snobbish nobles avoid them, apologizing for dragging Leon into it. Leon teases Mark for not knowing who Folial is, joking he must be from the countryside. Mark explains Folial is the legendary white-haired demon of creation myths, the first to create magic and pass it to humans. But when people abuse that magic, legend says Folial swallowed an entire village whole, becoming a warning told to children everywhere. Leon dismisses it as just a myth, though he privately wonders what kind of monster that makes him. Mark reasons that still makes Folial a hero of justice, just as Louise Nematoria passes by. Watching her go, Mark calls her pretty but standoffish and gets teased about whether she's his type. Leon recalls she plays second and comes from a lesser noble family, noting her hard-to-approach reputation is shared opinion. With no clear answer, Leon admits he's lately felt like she's been glaring at him, unsure if he's imagining it. Leon notes she doesn't seem to look down on anyone, unlike Heathcliff or Darren. Excited, he recalls the next class is one he's been looking forward to, though the others complain that overthinking it isn't helping. The teacher announces their new task, learning the spell of flight.
She explains flight magic is normally restricted in the country to prevent accidents, but students over 15 enrolled at the academy get a special exemption. Thrilled, she reveals there'll be a test this weekend, meaning they're all now authorized to fly and should learn it in time. Wishing them luck, the teacher wraps up the lesson and heads off. Sensing something odd in her tone, Mark suggests hurrying to the courtyard to start practicing, and Leon agrees eagerly. Watching Leon's eyes sparkle at the mention of magic, Mark reflects he must really love it as they rush off together. Leon admits he's actually tried flight before and failed, calling it the magic he's always admired most. Picturing himself floating in the air, he casts the spell, thrilled that he can finally use it. His feet lift gently off the ground. Thrilled to be floating, Leon cheers that he actually did it, while Mark watches in amazed disbelief that he nailed it on the first try. Startled as he drifts higher, Leon panics, unsure what to do next now that he's actually airborne. Mark asks if he's hurt after catching him, and Leon assures him he's fine, thanking him for the timely save. As Leon flails about, Mark urges him to learn from the experience, while Leon insists on trying just one more time. Attempting again, Leon notes it feels easier than expected, though he wobbles and considers flying a bit lower this time. Mark points out bluntly that what Leon's doing isn't actually flight, just levitation. Struggling himself, Mark admits floating alone is easy enough, though he's clearly having trouble with something else, noting the other students seem just as stuck. Realizing what's missing, they wonder aloud whether it's balance, control, or some more fundamental piece they're all overlooking, grateful there's someone reliable to help at times like this. Turning together, the group asks Leon to please teach them. Excited, Leon calls out to Quentin, but a senior reminds them advice from upperclassmen is forbidden for flight magic. Quentin says he has a meeting to attend, cheerfully remarking on the perfect weather for flying as he takes off himself. Waving, he calls back encouragement for the juniors before soaring away. Stunned, the pair admit they got no real hint, though Leon suspects Quentin gave one anyway, in his own roundabout way. Mark realizes Quentin hadn't just floated, he'd shot off like an arrow from the very start. They figure that's his quiet way of letting them learn through practice and rush to try it themselves. Leon plans to fly toward a nearby tree, then turn left and circle back. Taking off, he cheers that he actually flew, catching Mark completely off guard. Panicking mid-flight, he chants to keep looking forward, while Mark shouts that something's wrong. Realizing too late he needs to turn, Leon panics as he barrels straight toward the trees. Dazed on the ground, Leon lies still, while Mark asks in disbelief if what he saw was real. Groaning, Mark scolds him for being smart yet ending up like this, though Leon insists that's not it. Leon swears flight only lets you go straight, insisting he genuinely can't change his body's direction mid-air.
Skeptical, Mark takes off himself, wondering why turning should be hard, only to lose control instantly. They agree something beyond control and imagination must be missing, as Mark confirms twisting his body just throws off his balance. The teacher announces the afternoon class, groups of 4 competing for a ball using only magic. A classmate praises Leon, who admits he overused magic at lunch and is now fighting drowsiness. Another student, who placed 5th, admits he can't get the ball at all despite his control, calling Leon's win over the prince another level entirely. Nina Lane laughs that magic is the only thing she's good at, admitting even her power and control aren't enough to get the ball. Watching the nobles interact warmly with commoners, an onlooker notes they must be among the more moderate ones. Leon asks if the two have mastered flight, and they confirm it, noting Nina passed the entrance exam even earlier than Mark and Leon. Nervously, one asks about practicing together, just as Leon and Mark realize they were about to ask the same thing. Meeting after school, Leon admits none of them have fully mastered flight yet, asking how far Ode and Nina can manage. They explain that once airborne, they can fly straight but can't move freely. Realizing everyone's stuck at the same point, they conclude it isn't just about control. After more failed attempts, they call it a day, agreeing they're still missing something. Back at the dorm, Mark complains he's too hungry to focus,
Teased for needing 4 helpings just from using his brain, Mark admits he stashed snacks from the school store for exactly this. He shrugs that when he's hungry, he simply eats again, as if it's obvious. As lights out hits, someone wishes Mark goodnight before the room goes dark. Drifting into memory, Leon recalls the very first day he had that recurring dream. A wriggling black mass shifts into the shape of a small cat. As a child, he'd named it Mozo. It was something he could only ever meet inside his dreams. He remembers it fondly as his precious friend. Playfully greeting the lively cat, he reflects that all his skill with magic now comes from the practice he'd done with Mozo back then. Surrounded by more cats suddenly appearing among the books, he reacts with confused surprise. Delighted, he praises the cats as geniuses, thanking Mozo, right as the memory blends into Mark cheerfully admitting he just eats again whenever he's hungry. The next morning, someone asks the group how their overnight thinking went for everyone. Mark admits he came up empty too, while another confesses he stayed up late but got no ideas, apologizing for it. Leon grinned and told his friends to watch closely, hinting that he had come up with something entirely new to try. Focusing his magic, he began to levitate off the ground, rising steadily into the air as onlookers below watched in disbelief. He soared cleanly across the sky, gliding with surprising control high above the academy grounds.
Picking up speed, he shot through the air in a streak before touching down smoothly and catching his breath. Mark and Heathcliff rushed over, stunned and full of praise, unable to hide their amazement that Leon had actually been flying. Leon brushed it off with a teasing joke, claiming the secret was simply eating enough, leaving Mark flustered and demanding to know his real method. Mark and Heathcliff exchanged a look, sensing that something bigger was being revealed as the pieces started to click together. Mark then realized the truth. What Leon had done wasn't one single spell, but magic built by layering several spells together. The group understood that what they had assumed was a single flight spell was really several, one to take off, one to turn, one to arc through the air, and one to land, all working together in sequence. Excited, Mark and Heathcliff both declared they wanted to try it themselves, grasping the concept of chaining multiple spells into one technique. Once they grasped the mechanism, all 4 of them mastered flight that very day. By the weekend, Grant gathered the class to begin the flight test. Darren Roas and Heathcliff both passed with ease, praised as excellent students. All 20 students of Class Ein's passed, an unusually rare feat. Mark and Heathcliff fist-bumped, excited for the next challenge as they returned to the classroom. Grant handed out papers for their next assignment. He announced it, practical training beyond magic itself. He explained they needed to refine each spell's precision and apply it flexibly. True ability meant demonstrating that skill in any situation through an unannounced external field test. He warned them never to let their guard down and to keep up with daily lessons to prepare for the coming training. The class buzzed with excitement over their first real magic field training. A board listed possible activities: herb gathering, long-distance flight, survival training, and magical beast subjugation, worrying one student about whether they could handle beasts. Nina panicked, fretting that she was bad at offensive magic and had heard people sometimes got hurt during these trainings. Quentin and other upperclassmen showed up, teasing that first years usually just gather herbs and finish in half a day. Quentin mentioned they were allowed to bring tools, and Nina wanted to shop in town beforehand for something useful. He explained that unlike first years, third years never know when training will suddenly begin, though they do get a scheduled day off first. Quentin joked about scaring Nina again, then reassured her that field training is carried out under strict security, with teachers stepping in first if anything dangerous happens. The group arrived at what Quentin called his recommended shop. Leon got excited, admiring how fancy the place looked, while Mark playfully questioned what he was doing. They joked it looked shabby outside like the dorm, but was amazing inside, arriving at last at the shop's door. Quentin went to greet the shopkeeper as the others stared, unimpressed that even the inside looked run down. He told them to browse the merchandise however they liked.
The group complained everything looked broken. Cracked staffs, dusty books, cracked bottles. Mark found it strange that Quentin would recommend such a shabby shop, suspecting something more to it. Leon accidentally cast nullification on a potion, prompting the shopkeeper to scold him. Rita, the shopkeeper, explained that nullifying a magic potion just turns it into plain water and would leave him paying off the damage for life, while Quentin checked if Leon was okay. Quentin defended him, noting Leon at least sensed the magic, so she should cut him some slack. Rita then cast a spell, sweeping through the shop. Suddenly, everything transformed, revealing it was all an illusion called projection, which only changes how things appear. Mark realized this was Quentin's scheme, and Quentin agreed, saying the shop was old but actually very clean underneath. The group marveled at the shop's true contents, rare potion ingredients and works crafted by famous mages, too precious to even touch. Rita explained this was just a small rehearsal for situations that happen often in field training, then revealed Leon had barely passed. Louise haggled fiercely over a 200 gil item, refusing to drop it below a coin, while Leon was stunned realizing the goods were genuinely that amazing. Leon and a girl recognized each other with surprise as she asked if he was planning to buy something. She snapped at him for saying her name so casually, calling him a coward. Leon had no idea what he'd done to deserve being called that. Quentin teased them not to fight, but the girl insisted she knew what he did. She introduced herself as Lodi Haler, a second year, pretending to be nice to the famous Leon Heartelia. She accused him of cheating, claiming his magic had fizzled during the practice test, yet he still scored above the prince, and coldly said he didn't need to bother being nice to her. Rumors spread further. Someone said Leon suddenly attacked them in the dorm, and that Ayrton from his homeland said the same, with people claiming he was now attacking anyone who called him out, insisting he'd cheated to get first place over the prince and Darren. Quentin suggested Louise hear Leon's side too. She doubted it, noting the story came secondhand. Mark suggested Leon just show his magic to clear things up. Since it was dangerous, Rita lowered the mana output, and Leon's combined fireball multiplied in power, its density incredible. Louise gasped, realizing his magic control was on another level entirely. Shocked that wasn't even his full power, she admitted he'd held back a lot. Relieved, Leon apologized for getting heated too, and Louise bowed, saying she was wrong. She admitted her mother always warned she jumps to conclusions. Quentin said they'd wanted to get along, and Louise realized not all nobles were like she assumed. She revealed her family was poor, mocked as the poorest nobles in the north, explaining her part-time job at Rita's shop. She'd sworn to become a mage to ease life for her parents and people once she learned she could use magic. Louise recalled everything went dark upon learning the second prince was in her year, since she'd ended up in the lowest class despite practicing hard and having confidence. Yet checking the rankings, she found herself second, above the prince, hoping that taking first in the practice exam could push her further. She revealed that first place had actually been Leon. She admitted she was relieved he'd been properly recognized for his real ability, apologizing for letting her misguided sense of justice run wild. Still, she declared next time she absolutely wouldn't lose. Leon then asked what he'd originally wanted, and Louise said they could consider the case closed now that the misunderstanding was cleared. Leon asked for ink for a mark, and Rita recommended red ink for a first-timer. She showed him two similar inks with slightly different effects, and Leon thanked her enthusiastically. Mark and Quentin noticed something was off with Leon, who admitted Louise startles him when she gets too close, now realizing how beautiful she is. They teased him for being gooey-eyed over Louise and blushing, leaving Leon flustered and shouting at them to stop. Time to head back was called, and Quentin teased the two for enough romance talk, flustering Leon. Back in his room, Leon studied a Mark spellbook he'd borrowed from Louise as an apology, since precise writing was required. Mark asked if he was getting the hang of it, and Leon practiced writing levitation. Mark then asked Leon to put a control mark on his sword, since he was more familiar with it than a staff. Leon explained most people use wooden staffs since they're cheap, but some prefer familiar tools like swords or books, with the control mark making them easier to use, like scissors cutting better than hands. He finished the mark on the sword, satisfied with the result. Mark got excited, wanting to swing it immediately, but Leon warned it was dangerous there, saying he'd save it for field training. That night, the group worried training might start while they slept, with Leon deciding to keep his sword and boots close just in case, nervous after Quentin's warning to be careful. As the clock struck near curfew, they said goodnight to each other. Leon dozed off, worn out from staying up. He woke up transported into a bright, glowing, unfamiliar space. Finding himself in a forest, he startled, unsure if this was really happening. He exclaimed that training had truly begun. He caught himself admiring the strange place before steadying and casting release. A second-year girl suddenly appeared, startling him, and introduced herself as his guide for the training. She explained the task: submit 1 white-silver butterfly wing and 1 Himeria root. She revealed herself as Loti, explaining her sudden appearance with stealth magic, with teachers and second years monitoring everyone and a 24-hour limit. Before leaving, Loti admitted she had high expectations for him and wished him luck. Realizing she announced the time in her voice, Leon decided to ask and learned 24 hours remained. Leon recalled that white silver butterflies live in wetlands, while Himeria grows in cold, dry regions, reasoning that a magic-made space could still place different environments close together. He conserved his stamina by using a defense spell to make footholds, planning to first find the swamp where butterflies gathered. He found the swamp, spotting butterflies flying around after quite a walk. Unwilling to catch a living butterfly, he grabbed a few fallen wings just in case. Surprised he'd found it so quickly, he asked how much time was left and learned 21 hours remained. Noting it would normally be the middle of the night, he decided to take a nap since he had time to spare. He was suddenly woken by someone calling his name. It was Darren, annoyed and warning him not to try anything, telling him to check his clothes. Leon realized the swamp water had risen while he slept and thanked Darren for waking him in time. Darren brushed off the thanks, telling him to hurry and dry off since they were moving on. Darren abruptly wakes Leon from his sleep in the flooded swamp, warning him of the rising water that threatens to drown him if he remains unconscious any longer. Darren dramatically expresses his frustration about the dangerous situation, threatening that if Leon had drowned, his own reputation would have suffered irreparably from the association. Using a wind dispersal spell, Lodi clears away the troublesome insects swarming around them as they continue through the humid terrain, providing temporary relief. Leon sincerely apologizes to Darren for all his previous misunderstandings and misjudgments, seeking reconciliation for his past errors. Darren reflects on his deep insecurity stemming from having an exceptional older brother, realizing he has always looked down on commoners to compensate for his own doubts about his place. The revelation strikes Darren that true strength requires only genuine ability, not status or rank, as he clenches his fist with newfound determination. And Observer notes how Darren always creates an emotional wall between himself and others, sensing his underlying desperation hidden beneath his cold demeanor. Darren and Leon discuss the problem of their wet clothing, with Darren mentioning they need to inform Procyon about their current predicament in the field training. Leon and Lodi shift their focus to searching for Himeria roots in the harsh, cold climate region, pushing forward together despite the challenging terrain. They climb the rocky ground in the frigid landscape, with Leon noting that Himeria grows in such cold, dry areas as they continue their difficult ascent. Leon and Darren reach the rocky cliffs, but find no Himeria blooming anywhere. Darren flies down to search while Leon climbs carefully, worrying his companion with his recklessness. Darren returns with nothing, leaving both questioning whether their knowledge was simply wrong. Nina suddenly appears, revealing her group also failed to find any Himeria despite its red color. The group agrees the complete absence of the flower across all ideal locations feels deeply suspicious. Leon deduces the Academy must be hiding the flowers elsewhere as another trick. The group reunites with Mark and others at the boundary line, surprised to see Darren alongside Leon. Mark questions Darren's presence, but after a brief explanation, everyone agrees to share information. The full group pools their collected items, combining butterfly wings and Himeria leaves together. Leon concluded the exam was designed to make both materials scarcer over time, punishing those who waited too long. Leon realizes the remaining Himeria flowers withered and fell as soon as the roots were fully collected. Leon deduces the exam's true purpose was to force students to negotiate and trade materials with each other. The group agrees that reuniting quickly was fortunate, as negotiations with strangers would have cost precious time. Heathcliff realizes the silver butterflies have likely vanished from the forest entirely, frustrating his companion greatly. Heathcliff slams the wall in fury, overwhelmed by the pressure of the situation. He steels himself with fierce determination, vowing he cannot afford to lose to commoners or lesser nobles again. Heathcliff recalls a lifetime of being compared to his outstanding older brother, believing the throne would naturally pass to the firstborn. He reveals his unique advantage as the only royal with magical talent, seeing graduation at the top as his path to power. The throne once felt within reach, but losing to Leon shattered that confidence, leaving him feeling chained and defeated. Heathcliff understands that his own arrogance and pride became chains binding him, tightened even further after his humiliating loss to Leon. Heathcliff's group spots something strange beyond the forest, drawing everyone's attention. They realize other students are trading materials, debating whether it counts as cheating. Heathcliff orders his companions to destroy the other students' materials, but both refuse, frustrating him. The group encounters a cheerful stranger who turns out to be a well-known prince from the entrance ceremony. Two girls reveal they've been trading surplus materials and offer to exchange with Heathcliff. Heathcliff coldly dismisses the girls, calling them despicable people unworthy of his time. He unleashes a powerful wind spell, declaring that people like them don't belong at the academy. The two girls cower in terror as Heathcliff's magic spirals violently around them. Heathcliff fires his spell directly at the helpless girls, declaring they have no right to be at the academy. The blast strikes nearby, sending the girls screaming and scrambling in pure panic. Leon intercepts Heathcliff's attack just in time, deflecting the spell away from the girls. Leon's defense shield absorbs the blast, protecting the two terrified girls from harm. Leon's group arrived at the last second, relieved they made it before anyone got hurt. Teacher Grant appears on the scene, catching everyone off guard mid-confrontation. Leon and Heathcliff lock eyes with intense hostility, the tension between them reaching a breaking point. 7 minutes earlier, the group finishes gathering materials and splits into two teams to find the submission point. Both teams dash off energetically in opposite directions to cover more ground. Leon's team spreads out further, each member heading a different way to search faster. Leon and Heathcliff search separately, but find no clues about the submission point anywhere. Suddenly, everyone senses an enormous and deeply hostile magical presence radiating nearby, filling them with dread. Leon and Heathcliff confront each other furiously, both demanding answers for the other's actions. Heathcliff dismisses everyone present as worthless, ordering them all to disappear. Grant watches the situation escalate, quietly ready to intervene if it goes too far. Heathcliff launches a powerful attack, sending Leon flying through the air.
Leon counters with a negate spell, but struggles, realizing his mana isn't enough to cancel it completely. Mark arrives late and rushes in, intercepting Heathcliff's next attack to buy Leon time. Leon hands things over to Louise, stepping back to prepare his own counterattack. Louise unleashes a massive ice spell, erupting enormous crystal formations around Heathcliff. Heathcliff rages furiously as Heathcliff takes a hit, both sides now bloodied and pushed to their limits. Grant's companion urges him to intervene before the situation spirals completely out of control. Heathcliff activates physical enhancement, while Grant watches and questions how Leon plans to stop him. Heathcliff closes the distance instantly, shocking everyone with his overwhelming speed. Leon fires magic at point-blank range, stunning his allies with the reckless close-range gamble. The two clash directly, both striking each other simultaneously in a mutual blow. Grant praises Leon, while calmly revealing Heathcliff was merely put under hypnosis, not seriously harmed. Grant commends Leon for stopping Heathcliff without using offensive magic, as the two rescued girls are identified as Rena and Marcia. Grant apologizes to the girls for arriving late, acknowledging they went through something terrifying. Grant offers the girls the option to withdraw, but both firmly refuse and insist on completing the training. Grant declares Heathcliff mentally unstable and orders his immediate withdrawal from the field training. Darren watches silently as Heathcliff is escorted away, while the group looks on in somber silence. The group regroups at the meeting point, catching the other team up on everything that happened with Heathcliff. Leon's team found no submission point, but discovered something unexpected worth sharing with the others. Leon demonstrates an invisible wall blocking the boundary line, with other students confirming the same obstacle. Nina deduces the entire training space is artificially created, theorizing the submission point must be somewhere above them. The whole group activates flight simultaneously, soaring upward until someone crashes painfully into the invisible ceiling. They reach what appears to be the top of the dome, with Leon comparing the barrier to the illusion spell from the magic tool shop. Leon casts a spell against the barrier, attempting to break through the concealing spell above them. The barrier shatters, revealing a hidden chamber above with a submission point exactly where Odd and Louise predicted. The examiner confirms all 6 students, Leon, Louise, Mark, Odd, Nina, and Darren, passed within 14 hours. Back at the academy, only a handful of students sit scattered across the lecture hall, with Heathcliff entering alone through a side door. Leon and Mark reflect that despite the chaos, finishing among 60 students still counts as a respectable result. Grant congratulates all present students for successfully completing their first practical training before announcing the rankings. First place goes to Arnard Shuni of Class Phi, who solo collected everything in just 6 hours without trading. The group reacts with amazement at Arnard's feat, while Rena and Marcia are relieved they managed to pass too. Arnard overhears the group's chatter and sits silently nearby, observing them with quiet curiosity.
Meanwhile, in a conference room, teachers debate Heathcliff's punishment, with some arguing expulsion is too harsh. Others push back strongly, insisting a few-week suspension is far too lenient given he caused trouble twice already. The headmaster intervenes, silencing the room and stressing the incident must be handled carefully to protect the academy's reputation. The headmaster turns to Grant, asking for his opinion as Heathcliff's homeroom teacher. Grant acknowledges Heathcliff's actions were completely unacceptable, but questions whether expulsion or suspension would truly change him, arguing punishment should foster genuine reflection and growth. Teachers debate whether they still deserve to call themselves educators if they cannot save even one student who has lost his way, and the bald teacher reacts with raw frustration at the thought. Kneeling before the academy's council, he begs to be granted time to properly guide Duen, framing it as his duty as the boys' homeroom teacher. The elderly headmaster announces that Heathcliff Duen's case will be left entirely to that teacher's judgment, and the council offers no objections. Night falls over the east dormitory as someone strides purposefully through the darkness outside. Startled by an unexpected knock, a girl wonders who could possibly be calling so late, quietly admitting she was told to stay in her room but simply can't sleep. She finds a boy at her door, who explains he came because he feared he might not see her for a while now that she's under house arrest, something he learned from a teacher. Flustered, she tells him the visit is highly improper at such an hour and demands he state his business and leave. The boy struggles to get his words out, hesitating and stammering as he tries to say what's really on his mind. He finally speaks with resolve, urging her firmly to graduate from the academy properly and never to give up. Caught off guard, the girl stands silent with arms crossed, visibly shaken by his words. Furious, the girl slaps his hand away, calling him ridiculous and a traitor for befriending commoners, warning she's only tolerated it due to their history. Alone, the boy walks away as a door slams behind him. In a flashback, she cheerfully tells him to drop formalities since they're friends, and he shyly agrees to use her nickname. More memories show them laughing, sparring playfully, and studying together, capturing their old closeness. Back in the present, he presses a trembling fist to his mouth, a tear falling as he leans against her door in anguish. His composure breaks into a bitter, hollow laugh. He asks himself in despair if there's truly no going back. Curled up outside her door, he He quietly murmurs her nickname alone in the dark. Later, he sits on his bed at night, lost in thought, the dormitory shown quiet outside. He reflects on how alone he must have felt back then, her harsh words about traitors and commoners still echoing in his mind. Watching from a window, a girl notices one of the Heartelia group's companions out running despite the day off after field training, quietly impressed by his dedication. Denying that admiration is the reason, she wraps her hands with bandages, muttering that it can't be helped as she heads out. Convinced fate must be bringing them together, she decides to join him and grabs her sword on the way out. Exhausted and gasping for breath, the boy berates himself for being of no real help, cursing under his breath in frustration. He admits desperately that he lacks both knowledge and magic, wishing for a weapon of his own that no one could ever surpass. Just then, the girl calls out to him by name as he continues running ahead. He tells her that consistency, built through daily training like endurance runs, bodywork, and swordsmanship, will always become one's true strength. Swinging his sword, he reflects that Louise's knowledge and Leon's magic weren't gained overnight either. Determined, he vows to become strong enough to stand beside them, while the girl watches on, teasingly calling him as dramatic as ever. She dismisses his sword style as some backwater technique used by commoners, telling him to go home if he's just going to get in the way, admitting she still hasn't forgiven him. Surprised by a thrown wooden sword, the boy catches it just before it hits his face. The girl explains she's only there because his swordsmanship is rigid and noble style, meant just to keep up appearances. Still, she admits it's better to have someone to spar with, for both their sakes. He calls her out for not being honest, and she flusters, insisting she just happened to see him running. They trade playful threats, each warning the other not to underestimate them. Their swords clash fiercely as they spar. Sparks fly as their blades lock in an intense exchange. The clash echoes loudly through the training grounds outside. Waking up, another boy is startled to find his roommate gone, his sword missing too. A girl knocks on the door asking if he's awake, then assumes he must be out training since it's their day off. A boy apologizes for coming to the dorm so early, explaining that Cicely's familiar, Alba, has run away. They mention they've been asking around for sightings, and someone confirms Cicely is the black-haired girl carrying the white cat Alba. Grateful for the help, one offers to join the search too since he has no plans anyway. They discuss that this is apparently the first time Alba has ever run off, wondering where the cat might be. Spotting a meowing cat, they realize it's just a stray, not Alba. They worry she might get hurt if she runs into strays while lost, hoping to find her soon. They run into two others in the woods, surprised by the odd pairing walking together. Noticing the two look sweaty and beat up, someone panics that it might mean a fight broke out. It's clarified that it wasn't a fight, just a friendly sword match that one of them lost, leaving him sulking. The group laughs it off, teasing each other over the outcome of their little duel. Someone asks the group what they're wandering around for, and it's explained they're searching for a cat with a ribbon that usually naps in a tree during class, but hasn't been seen today. The others agree to help too, joking about grabbing food along the way. While it's noted, familiars aren't normally allowed in class and may have been sneaking out. Walking through the quiet classroom building, they remark it feels strangely peaceful without the usual noise. Checking the trees, they find no sign of the cat, admitting they figured it wouldn't be that easy. Deciding to check in with Cicely, they suggest grabbing lunch first since it's about that time. Arriving to help, Darren and Mark are warmly thanked for coming. Someone shares sandwiches they had made specially, telling the others to eat up since they clearly skipped lunch. Embarrassed by the thanks, one insists it's nothing special, teasing that skipping meals to search for someone else's cat is just too nice. They note he even gathered information for them, learning from the cat's owner that Alba still hasn't returned. Others nearby ask if anyone has seen their own missing familiars, revealing that several people are searching for lost pets, with even the stray cat seeming unusually aggressive lately. Someone suggests using magic to find the missing familiars, but no one knows such a spell. Remembering another knowledgeable first year, they head to the library to ask Louise. She finds a spell that traces a familiar's magical energy, and the boys thank her happily. Louise admits searching sounded more fun than studying alone, having asked to tag along. Startled by a familiar voice, they find someone unexpected nearby. Spotting Mark among a group, one calls out his name in shock. A clingy stranger hugs Mark, who begs Leon for help. It's explained the boy, Al, is an exchange student whose customs make him overly affectionate. Al lights up on learning Leon recognized him from yesterday's field training. Two girls, Marcia and Rena, thank the group for helping them the day before. Called out for not thanking Louise the same way, someone insists he already thanked her in the library, just did what anyone would do. Satisfied, the group declares their thanks complete and heads off, remarking afterward that he was like a walking typhoon. They decide to head to the East Storm to find Cicely, spotting a nearby. Cicely panics, worried Alba might be gone, while Odd notes she's always been a bit childlike, comparing Alba to a sister for her. They test Louise's tracking spell, watching in awe as a thread of magic stretches out to search for Alba's energy. The thread leads them to a storage shed nearby, with someone guessing Alba might just be napping inside. Opening the door, they're stunned to find a huge swarm of cats filling the shed. Cicely spots Alba among them and cries out her name in relief. Hugging her cat tightly, she admits how glad she is they found her, having feared she was truly gone. Someone jokes about all the cats while relieved Alba is safe, before pausing in surprise, calling out to Darren as he reacts to something.